I feel like diet culture sets you up to never be good enough.
Did you burn 500 calories on the treadmill today? No? Me either.
I mean, anybody can sit with us. We're just really not about diet culture.
But literally, happiness doesn't come from a low-calorie, high-intensity life. I actually do like carrots.
I do too. They're my favorite.
Welcome to the Fit Fueled Free podcast.
So basically, diets suck.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 54. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Jenna.
And today, Jenna and I are going to do a little bit more of a lighthearted episode so you can get to know us a little bit more, especially if you are new to our Fit Fueled Free community. So we're going to play 20 questions, but not in the like game type. We're just going to ask each other each 10 questions so that we can show a little bit of who we are as people for you guys to get to know us more.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start. Oh, this is a good one. What song always gets you out on the dance floor?
That's a really good question. My mind is taking me immediately to like weddings because I feel like that's where I have danced the most in the most recent years. I would say either the Bruno Mars song that is, Uptown Funk.
Oh yeah.
Or I think it's a Justin Timberlake song. Can't Stop the Feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like those two are like the epitome of like dancing at a wedding. And anytime I'm like recording video, like my workout videos for Instagram, if those two songs come on and I'm recording, I like always end up dancing. And then I like post those videos because I'm like, lighten up guys, like make your workouts fun. And I feel like every time I go back and watch them, it's always like those two songs. So I'm like, there's clearly a pattern with my favorite songs when it comes to dancing. So I think those two.
Nice.
I would go with.
Those are good ones.
Yeah. Do we want to answer the same question? Like, do you want to answer that for yourself too? Or do you think that would take too long? Like, should we just jump right into like a
do another
new question? Okay, so Danielle, my question for you is, what is your go-to guilty pleasure?
Okay, so I feel like right now, well, first of all, I would like to say that old Danielle would likely have mentioned that my guilty pleasure would have been something like ice cream or chocolate. But guess what? I do not feel guilty for eating those things anymore. Mm-hmm. So don't have to worry about that, which is wonderful. But I am watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians right now. And I'm quite like invested in that show. And I also blame you for my reality TV addiction. It's okay. I quite like it because but I actually feel like I was very judgmental of that family. And getting to know them more, I'm like, okay, like, it's just, you always need reminders in life, like, you know, don't judge a book by its cover. And, like, if you don't know someone, you don't know someone. So, like, really just, like, shut your trap because you don't know what you're talking about, right? Like, I feel like we need those. And that might sound very silly, but I just really love that family. And that's watching their lives unfold is just it's entertaining, but I also am, like, emotionally invested in them. And I kind of feel like that's a guilty pleasure. Yeah. Because it's reality TV and like, you know. Mm-hmm.
Have you watched Selling Sunset?
Mm-mm.
Ooh.
My next one.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What is your most prized possession and why?
I would say I have two. One is more serious. One is kind of like not serious. My first one I would say is my Bible, honestly. I feel like that's like, I don't know. That's just like the rock, which I go to for everything. And so that is probably the most important possession that I own. But if we're talking like, probably the stuffed animal bear named Boo Boo that I sleep with that's wrapped up in a blanket that I had as a child. Landon gives me so much crap for it because he was like, I thought that wasn't going to make the cut when we got married, and here it is in the bed. Like, it's behind the pillow. It's not like I like hug it when I sleep, but I think it's like a comfort thing. It's like in our bed every night, and Landon is like, okay, when are we getting rid of that? And I'm like, never. So
That's cute.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people have something like that.
Yeah. It's an embarrassing one to admit. I feel like I'm blushing right now because I'm talking about stuffed animal and I'm like almost 28, but
I don't think that that's embarrassing.
Yeah. I just admitted that publicly on a podcast. So.
I think it's endearing.
Thanks. Okay.
Oh yeah, your turn.
Ready for your next one. Would you rather cook or order in?
I would always rather order in.
Yeah.
I feel like that's more likely. I would probably order sushi.
I feel like that's a cool thing to admit as a dietitian because I feel like a lot of people maybe would be like, oh no, I have to cook everything, you know, like, and that might be me stereotyping a lot of dietitians,
You're probably
which
right,
I apologize
though.
and I don't mean to do that, but I feel like you could easily put on this persona of like, no, I cook everything and use only healthy ingredients and would almost like feel shame saying you like to order in as a dietitian.
Yeah, I feel like I would have used to because it was such a like demonized thing, but now it's more like the only concern is like of finances, of our balance of that. But I don't know. I really just don't hold any like negatives. And I've tried making sushi on my own and it just is not the same as a professional sushi chef. So that is my favorite thing in the world to order out.
Yeah.
So yeah. What is your favorite board game?
I hate board games. Did you ask me that because you know I hate board games?
I don't know. I feel like we had a conversation about that one time because I think I invited you to come over one time to play games and you said like Landon didn't like them, but I feel like we didn't know each other well and I was like that 100% was like a real excuse, but I was like, you know what? Landon. It's okay. We've prevailed. You just, you own what you own, right? And you do you and it is okay.
Man, so much is coming out. I'm starting to sweat. Admitted I sleep with a teddy bear and blaming my husband for things. I hope he doesn't listen to this.
So when you asked me if I knew that, I thought that this whole time I thought that Landon didn't like board games.
Oh man. Shows how much of a people pleaser I am.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah, I'm not a big board game person. I will play like cards of human, like what do you mean? We've played that with you guys, or like even the one on the television, what's it called, the one we
Quiplash? Yeah. Wait, do you like that?
Yes, I do. Okay. Like that. I do like that.
I'm not gonna have a complex after this.
I do like that.
Oh my gosh.
Board games, I don't know. I mean, when I nannied like in high school and college, we played Candyland a lot.
Oh gosh.
And I know that's not like an elite adult game. So I guess I'm probably not the best person to ask. I don't really. Yeah,
that's okay. Did you play Pretty Pretty Princess when you were a kid?
That sounds so familiar. What is that?
It was a board game that came with like different colored jewelry, and when you landed on a certain square you got to like put the clip-on earrings on and like the bracelet and the necklace, and then there was a tiara that you could get at the end, and it was basically whoever gets all the jewelry on first became the pretty princess.
I don't think I've ever played that.
Oh my gosh.
It's not, I knew the name though, so I'm sure I've heard of it, but no, I don't think I've ever.
That is a good one in case you want to check it out.
Because I admitted Candyland, so I'm into children games. Okay, I'll write that one down.
This is just what I needed today. Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's see. What's the career highlight that you're most proud of?
I feel like even though we don't get paid to do our podcast, I'm very proud of this as a professional. And I feel like when we got on the cover of that fitness trainer magazine, even though it's like a small thing, that was just so like, I just felt so good about myself.
Yeah. Not everyone can say they've been on the cover of a magazine.
Yeah. So. Like it felt like a big honor to like have our voice cared about like that and to be represented.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that was probably my biggest thing.
Yeah.
What is your favorite family tradition?
Gosh, I feel like this is one of those questions where I do something with my family and I'm like, this is something we do all the time. And whenever someone asks me for a tradition, this is what I'll say. And then, of course, now you're asking me. It doesn't come to my mind immediately. I would probably have to say for Christmas, if we're at my parents' house, because now we have to obviously split, every other year with my in-laws. But when we're with my parents and my brother and sister, if we're all able to be there together, we kind of like, it's really funny. We'll sit around the Christmas tree like Christmas morning, and we all like have our designated like spots that we've sat in every year. And we go around, and before each person will open up their gift, you'll have to say like what you're thankful for.
Aww.
To kind of focus on like what you do already have. So it's not like always just about like the gifts that you're receiving.
I love that.
And then also like on the little like sticker tags where it's like to and from. I don't know when this started, but it was probably my dad. He started writing like really funny like to fill in the blank, from fill in the blank, and with like these outrageous funny names for us from him, with like either a name that we've called him or just like he's this super like he's the epitome of like dad jokes. Like He loves the jokes. Like all my friends who've met him are like, your dad is one of like the funniest like people ever. And so he just like brings humor and joy to everything. And so we all picked up on it. So now anytime I'll write like to like my mom or my dad or Landon or like my sister, my brother, usually we'll come up with like a funny name to write. And I save them, at least. I don't know if anybody else in my family saves them, but for like the really funny ones, I'll usually end up like saving little tags in the wrapping paper, and that's pretty fun.
That's adorable.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That's really nice.
Yeah. Okay. What would be the first thing that you would do if you won the lottery and had a ton of money?
How, like, can you give me a figure I'm working with?
Like a number?
Yeah.
What's like typical when someone's like, oh, you win the, is it like, I
like
know
$1 million
nothing. Is it $1 million?
Or something?
Okay. $1 million.
I would probably, I mean, let's be real, I'd probably go shopping, but not like crazy. I just would be like, heck yes. But I would give like a small amount to like my brother to help him pay his student loans off, and like keep some for our debt. And then I think I would pick a couple different like nonprofit organizations and donate that money to. Yeah, I think that's what I would do.
Cool.
And hopefully it would be a lot so that I could pay off all of my debt while also helping other people. That would be the dream sitch. How would your 10-year-old self react to what you do now?
That is a great question. At 10 years old, I think I probably had an unrealistic dream of being a professional soccer player and like being the star of the U.S. women's team, or the star in the United States. I don't even know. When I was 10, I don't even know if the U.S. women's team, actually, that's going to make me never mind. I'm not even going to go there with that. But yeah, I think I would probably, I think I would be probably proud, maybe a little bit disappointed at first. I really wanted, like,
10-year-old,
just as a 10-year-old, because I think like I had this like, I'm gonna be a professional soccer player.
Okay.
But I think being in the field of work that still is dealing with technically sport, like athletes, personal training, I think I would be like content and happy and proud of myself. At least I hope I would, after getting over the initial like, you're not professional soccer player.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah. But I'm not really surprised, because I always I was a helper as a little kid. And so I feel like being a personal trainer is like, a community
Yeah.
not service, but like, you know, customer service helping positions. So I don't think it would be too much of a surprise. Now, if you asked me this question like 5 years ago when I was at that shipping company, I think my response would have been astronomically different. But where I'm at now, yeah, I think I'd be proud of myself, especially like kind of having my own business. I don't think I ever imagined that as a kid.
Yeah, so, you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'd be overall pretty proud.
I like it.
Okay. What is something that your family would be surprised to learn about you?
They were shocked when I got a tattoo, but so that was like a recent thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't really come across like someone who does risky behaviors, but I feel like I've jumped out of an airplane and I didn't tell them I was doing that until I did it.
Until afterwards.
So I feel like I've kind of shocked them a few times with that.
Yeah.
And they're always uncovering bits and pieces of me throughout this podcast. My dad's like, oh, I did not know this about you. Welcome.
That's funny. Yeah, that's hilarious.
But I think the tattoo definitely was a shock for them. No one thought I was going to do it for real. They thought I was all talk.
Just talking about it. I think I was a little surprised when you texted me like the actual design. I was like, whoa, you're actually going through with it. But that's not a bad thing.
No,
people
it's
are surprised.
not.
People are surprised I have tattoos too. So
yeah, when you told me you wanted a quarter sleeve, I was like,
I would love a quarter sleeve.
That's like badass.
Thanks. I wouldn't want to get something that you just get just to have it. Like I would want that to be meaningful. And I'm like, I don't know if I could fill up a quarter of my arm with enough meaningful stuff. I don't know.
That could be tough.
So maybe one day.
I like surprising people in a good way. Yeah. Not bad surprises.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, I'm the same way.
Okay. Have you ever had imposter syndrome? So like, I pulled up the definition because I had a link in case you want me to define it for you. Yeah, you'll know what I mean in a second. So it's the faulty feeling of not measuring up or that you don't really deserve a compliment or accomplishment. So you feel like a fraud or that you're like living in fear that in a second someone would find out that your success is unearned.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I would necessarily say that I live in fear of like being, what was it, discovered? That is that the word you used?
Yeah, people struggling with this can feel like a fraud and live with a fear that at any time others could find out that their success is unearned.
Okay. No, I don't feel that as much, just because I know that I've worked really hard to get to where I am. And I'm like proud of what I've accomplished. But I do think with the first half of that, absolutely like feeling like not good enough or like, I mean, there have definitely been instances in my life or situations where I'm like, wow, I don't think I deserved that, or like accomplished something and have been afraid that people on the outside would look in and be like, there's no way she did that, or there's no way she accomplished that. I would imagine a majority of people experience that at some point in their lives, but I wouldn't say that I'm constantly like falling prey to that. Now, if we're talking about like not feeling good enough, yeah, I could talk for hours about that, which I've shared in other episodes, like whether it's, you know, in a career or as a friend or like as a wife or family member. There are I think a lot of circumstances that, I've felt like that, but I think that's why I'm so passionate about helping others realize that they are enough just how you are. In any situation, in any part of your journey.
I didn't know, like, I just learned about this term, imposter syndrome, recently, and I think you're right. A lot of people probably do have that. So that's something like about your Instagram page I love so much is like you use your vulnerabilities and like past like feeling like that, not necessarily about being like a trainer, but just like I feel like it is helpful to just say like, that's a normal thing to feel like. I bet you a lot of people do have this.
I don't really think I've ever heard that term though. So
there's in that question, it's question 63, there's like a whole article on it in here.
have to look it up.
We're on Women's Health magazine. It's a list of 200 not boring questions to ask to get to know someone better.
Yeah. Okay. What's the scariest thing you've ever done, and why did you do it?
I feel like I have two things. So they both happened the summer after college graduation. So the first was, I just talked about how I went skydiving, but literally all of my friends wanted to do it and they needed the sixth person. And so because I am a pushover, I was like, sure, fine, I'll do it. You need me? Okay, here I am. And I couldn't sleep that night. And I was like puking in the morning because...
Like literally throwing
Yes,
up.
but also that was like during my eating disorder, so it wasn't very difficult for me to do that, to be honest. So like anything could really make me throw up, but I was like very sick. And then we went and had margaritas before because we got postponed because there was like too many clouds or like a storm coming or something, so they wouldn't take us at first. So we went to a bar and then after, so it was a little bit easier, but literally I did not jump out of the plane. The guy that I was strapped onto jumped out because I wouldn't move. And then I also did not like move my body the way I was supposed to. And he just like in the video he's just like screaming at me like, tuck your, or what I think you're supposed to like tuck your head down or something.
I have no clue.
It matters, but I just like I completely like was no longer in control of anything, and I just screamed until the thing opened up, and then I was like, okay, this is great. But that was truly, I would not do that again unless it was an emergency, because I never wanted to. I'm glad I did it, but I would never do that again on purpose. Especially because it's really expensive. And I was like, why did I do that? But it was an experience to be had with my friends. And then the second scariest thing was that summer we were staying at my friend Rachel's beach house. The two of us were living there for the summer in Ocean City. And I had to stay by myself for an entire weekend. And that house is big. Like it has 3 stories and it is, I don't know the square footage, but it is a big old house. And I was terrified to be in that house alone. And I truly was like not sure, like when I have to stay in big places by myself, I like am convinced I'm going to get murdered and not make it out. And I know that's super dramatic, but I really was like, I've never been so scared. I had to like drink like what did I make? What's that drink with like Kahlua and milk? A White Russian, as my nightcap to put myself to sleep. And then the door in my room that was on the first floor, when the air kicked on, you know how doors suck in with the airflow? Oh, no. It moved, and I thought I just game over. And when you like get that like intense feeling, like you're sure you're dying. And I just was like, this is how it ends. But then I realized that there was nothing behind the door, and here I am today to tell the story of my terrifying weekend.
To tell the tale.
Oh my gosh.
That's valid. I could understand that.
Oh my gosh. I don't like being alone.
I know. You little too.
Oh my goodness. Okay. If you only had one sense, hearing, touch, sight, etc., which would you want?
Let's see. I've actually thought about this before. Here. Gosh, I want to say I would choose sight because not being able to see anything or take in like beauty or colors or like people I love terrifies me. But silence is also horrifying as well. And maybe that's just because I like feel like I have so many thoughts all day that I would just drive myself nuts not being able to hear anything. But I think I would probably choose sight if I had to pick just one.
There's this girl on TikTok. I don't know if you've seen these videos, but her, and again, like I hope that I'm not coming across with ableism, because I don't mean to make light of anyone who doesn't have, who has a disability. But I was actually really surprised. She's deaf, and she has hearing aids do help a little bit, but she takes them out. And her dad like films that because he's just like, oh, you don't want to listen to us today. But she is like, she actually appears to like the ability to completely
kind of like
disconnect.
Oh, wow.
And she literally takes them out. And they're just like, they laugh about it because they're like, oh, I guess she doesn't want to talk to us right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So she can hear to an extent with the hearing aids?
From what I'm gathering from the videos that I've watched, but it actually was kind of like, obviously that's not a good thing to like, but it was it's always interesting to hear because we always hear of like, you know, how horrible would that be? And then to hear what someone's experience is like to actually have gone through it. I was really surprised by that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a really good point.
It was interesting. I feel like that there's been a couple really cute things in TikTok that have been like, oh, like I'm happy that I got this content. And then other things that I rant with you about that are not cute.
Yeah, not at all. Okay. Which of your personality traits are you most proud of?
So I think the fact that I am very transparent and willing to be like, I tell people like how I feel about things. It gets me into a lot of trouble at times, but I do think overall it's an endearing quality that I have, if I do say so myself.
No, I agree. I love that about you.
Oh, thanks. So it's like very anxiety provoking because I just never know. Like,
right.
Like I just, when I see someone, then I know if I need to like communicate something and I don't have it planned as you've experienced with being my friend. But I think that's my favorite thing about myself. I think that's what makes me truly who I am.
Yeah. I love that.
Thanks, friend. Oh, okay. I like this question. If you could only teach one thing to your future child, what would it be?
Ooh. Gosh, probably that you don't have to like earn your worth or love, and that anyone who makes you feel like you do is not anyone who is worth keeping in your life, because I would tell them that you are made like in the image of God and your creator, and that anybody who tells you otherwise, and that you have to change to meet their expectations or needs or to fit into what they want you to be, is not anybody that you need to have in your life.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that's what I would say. That's so hard to pick just one thing.
I know.
Because there's so many things that I would want to tell a child. But I think if I had to pick just one.
I think this is my new favorite question to ask people, because I feel like it's very telling of something that's like very near and dear to your heart and your own growth. So that's a good question.
I want to flip the table and ask you that one.
Okay. Oh, Lord. Okay. I think it is similar to your answer, but in the sense that like as the like learning about my Enneagram and being a type 2 and feeling like, I feel like up until a year ago I genuinely like didn't think I was allowed to make my own decisions, and I was just always so busy making moves trying to make other people happy, and it wasn't necessarily, sometimes it was their manipulation that I was falling for, of course, but a lot of times it was me trying to just be the most people pleaser, because that's kind of how I identified myself, was, oh, I do whatever anyone else wants me to do. And so when I finally had the realization that like I'm a grown ass person and I get to make my own choices, like I can't, always predict life, but like I'm allowed to make my decisions, and I'm allowed to stand up for myself and like set true boundaries with people and like advocate for my own needs. I feel like that was a big game changer, and that's not something that we're like necessarily, especially I feel like as anyone that's ever experienced oppression in our world, like you don't get that, because at some point pretty quickly that gets taken away from you and you realize everything you have to do is for other people. And I do think like, yes, that matters, and you need to be respectful and those things, but like the more that I do work with people who have eating disorders, and just like learning about mental illness and just listening to everything from the Black Lives Matter movement this year, I feel like actually you really do have to care about you first. It's like, I never understood that thing on the airplane. It was like, you have to put your own mask on first. Like, I always thought that was like the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. I was like, cause I don't think I would think to do that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I get it now. Yeah. Like, you have to be able to breathe or else no one else is going to be. And I think there's a very fine line between, I think that gets used if you tell someone enough times that their purpose essentially is to make you happy or to do this for you, or you're not good enough. It teaches a person, oh, I'm not allowed to be my own person. Mm-hmm. And then that's how like a lot of like gaslighting and abuse and manipulation happens. Yeah. And so that's like a big thing for me. Just like, you are allowed to advocate for yourself and make your own decisions. Mm-hmm. And again, that comes with privileges, because that's not always a thing that's possible in every situation. But I think that does like matter to be your healthiest self. And just like as a type 2, I think that really is a big thing for me. It's just like, I've realized I was not nurturing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you may come off as selfish when you're trying to do that, but I realized that was like unhealthy behavior, because like I wasn't lining, like my values weren't being met with my actions. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that would be my thing. Yeah. That's a bit emotional. Yeah. The question.
It is.
Okay. Number 9. If you had a memoir, what would the title of it be?
Oh man. You asked me all these thought-provoking questions. I know, that's the point.
Get to know you.
Oh boy. Okay. That's a really hard one.
It is hard. Sorry.
Do you have one for yourself?
No. Are you asking me officially?
I don't know. If you can take quicker to respond than I can, then maybe. There's too many thoughts in my head, like a memoir of my life, to condense it in like a couple words.
What would it be about? Like your life, but like what would if you had to like tell a story, like what do you think if you had to like narrow the focus?
Yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to think of what would be worth writing about in the first 27. Well, you know what I mean? Like, I'm only 27. It's not like I'm 60 and have like years and years of experience and stories.
Sawyer wants to write his own memoir.
I agree. I think that's what I would call it. Huh? So I said Sawyer nailed it on the head. That's
okay.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to think on that one.
Okay. I'll ask you another question in case you can't come up with an answer. That is like, that would take some time to come up with that. That's fair. Do you think iced coffee should only be consumed in the summer or all year round?
I would say all year round. I think I probably gravitate towards it in the summer and prefer it in the summer. I don't think there's many days, especially in like December or January, where I'm like, I'm going to get an iced coffee. But I don't think it should only be limited to the summer. Like Landon is a big, like, he gets like a venti vanilla iced coffee anytime we go to Starbucks, even in the winter. And so I don't think I could really ever do that, but I don't sit there and hardcore judge someone who gets like an iced coffee when it's like 20 degrees outside. So I would say year round. Yeah.
I like it.
Okay. Who would play you in the movie of your life?
Well, I've been told that I look like Sally Fields, so she's a little bit older than me now, but apparently we're twins. Like on more than one occasion, I've been told I look like a young Sally Fields.
So that's who you would choose just because of looks.
Well, I feel like when I watch a movie and I know what the real person looks like, to be honest, that's what I care about the most. Is I want as much like historical accuracy as possible, which would include what they look like. Mm-hmm. Do you not see it? That just makes me laugh because I was
told you that.
Well,
like multiple people?
Yes, I can't remember who they all were. One time it was when I was in the checkout line at Walmart.
Well, I mean, okay, if I look really quick and then look away, like...
If you squint, your eyes like, almost closed.
No, like, there are facial features, like her chin and her smile, like her mouth.
And it looks like she has kind of like a young face.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks I look like a child. My dad thinks I look like Julia Roberts, and I was like, I do not see that. It's very funny when people think you look like... No, I don't at all. But anyway, yeah.
I mean, like, there are glimpses. And definitely, I think maybe the chin and your lips. I wouldn't have pegged that for you. But, like, you saying it, I'm like, okay, I can work with it. So.
Oh, man. I haven't thought about that one in a while.
That's funny.
Okay. Last question, my friend.
Do I have one more for you, too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, if you came back in your next life as an animal, in theory, what animal would you be?
Mm-hmm. Landon and I discussed this. Not like what, like, if you could come back, but like talking about like what animals have the best like life. Uh-huh. And honestly, I think a dog, because like think about it, a dog that's like taken care of, not like a stray dog or like one that is like abused or used for sport, but like, I mean, you're petting,
I'm literally scratching his butt at his command.
You get fed, you can sleep all day, you get taken on walk. I don't know if that word's going to trigger him. You get taken outside to do certain activities. You don't have to really fend, like as long as you are like in a home, you don't have to hunt and you don't have to fend for yourself. You don't have to live outside. So I think dogs have it the best out of a majority of animals.
That's fair.
Yeah. Easy living.
Got the life Sawyer.
Yeah.
Did you just hear that?
Was that
like
my stomach?
My digestive tract.
I was like, am I hungry?
Oh, goodness.
I just ate.
All right.
Okay.
What are you leaving me with?
If you could change anything about yourself, would you? If so, what and why?
I feel like the right answer I'm supposed to say is no.
No, I know.
But I would, if I could not have asthma, I think I would probably choose not to have that, because I'm not sure that like it has shaped me as like any kind of my like good qualities. So I think, but like my first answer is no, but like that's like a close follow up that I might want to get rid of that little issue.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, well, I feel like I know you on a whole new level now. This is a good sesh. Okay, thank you guys so much for listening to our Get to Know You episode of season 3. If you want to keep up with what we've got going on, you can find me on Instagram at Dietitian Dani Cast. Jenna is Jen Ep Fit, and our joint Instagram page is Fit Fueled Free, and we have a fitfueledfree@gmail.com account if you have any questions, comments, or concerns that you want to send us. So thanks again for listening, and we can't wait to talk to you next week.
Bye, guys.